what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF Podcast. Remember, I say it every time, but we use this as marketing material for our nonprofit, Second Chance Mentors, where we work with the kids that have been kicked out of school to help them get back into school, to give them some guidance and mentorship. I like to say, be who you needed. I feel like that's like the saying that the whole program and everything is based around, be who you needed, because I needed someone that I thought was cool or looked up to when I was younger that kind of could have told me, and it has to be different than your parents, right? Because sometimes we just take our parents for granted. So I always just wish that I had someone that I thought was cool that would have steered me in a different direction. So that's kind of what we do now. But on a different note, I've got some really cool news, something that I'm really excited about. My book that I wrote, Forgiven AF, is going to come out on May 15th. Hopefully this episode will drop by then. So if you have any, you know what, honestly, if you write me and you tell me you want a copy of the book, I'll send it to you. I really will. I'll send it to you. But if you have someone, if there is a way that you can support, or you have a family member that you could ask to order it for you and send it into, is directly off Amazon. It could get shipped straight to you. Forgiven AF is the title. Y'all know my name, Shawn Surface. And really all the money from this, I'm not keeping a penny of the money from this. Every penny of this that's made, if anyone buys it, we'll see what happens, but is going straight into the nonprofit, straight to the mentorship. Like, none of this is going into my pocket. I don't want any money from this. And I feel like it'll be successful if it'll help one person. There's some stuff in here that I talk about that's pretty vulnerable. I feel like you got to get there. If you want to help somebody, you got to be able to say, hey, look, this is what I went through. So other people can say, oh, me too. I feel like that's that connection of vulnerability, So anyways, okay, enough about the book. It makes me really weird to talk about this. I feel awkward. Like, I'm not a real look at me type person, So I feel, someone told me, they were like, man, will you sign it for me? I'm like, sign it? That's ridiculous. Like, why would I, like, who am I to sign
I asked
something?
you to sign it. Wait a minute. Don't make me feel ridiculous.
It makes me feel ridiculous. Like, you want me to sign this? Like, dude, that makes me feel, but anyway, okay. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. You guys know how much we love doing this and doing this with you guys and bringing different, inspirational people and, mentors in my life. And so luckily we got Paul back, which if you guys have been watching us for a while, you've seen Paul multiple times. Anytime he's around now, since he moved to Miami and ditched us, but anytime he's around, I'd take advantage of getting him in here, because like, I get letters of all the letters that I receive. And you guys, you guys see how many letters we get. I've got a stack of letters on the floor right here. His podcasts come up more than anyone else, the ones that we've done together. And I've told you this, almost every other letter is like, oh my gosh, Paul, I got this from Paul. Paul's energy is so crazy. How can I get in touch with Paul? Like, I get that all the time. And it's really cool. But even beyond that, I have to tell a story of what happened. This was a couple weeks ago. Hopefully he's watching this episode, because I want him to know how much I needed that. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to hear it, but I got a phone call. I was at the old gym cleaning up, kind of feeling sorry for myself after what happened over there with the flood and the fire and the landlord. Like, so kind of in a self-pity state of feeling sorry for myself. And this is the way God works. And I get a phone call from this guy, and he's like, and it's in prison, I have to press 1, which I try to answer most of the calls that I get. I miss a lot, but I try to. And the guy's like, oh, can I talk to Paul Facchina? And I was like, why would someone call me thinking they can get in touch with Paul Facchina? And I was like, well, this is Shawn. And he was like, what? This is Shawn from Forgiven AF? And I said, yeah. And he was like, oh man, I can't believe I got a hold of you. Again, making me feel uncomfortable. Like, who am I that you would be that excited to talk to? I got to get over that. I'm not good with taking compliments, anything like that. Makes me feel uncomfortable.
Remember it. You're the conduit to what God has you doing. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely God.
And that's affirmation. That's what you're receiving. When you get that type of thing, it's affirmation.
And I need to learn how to just say, hey, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have to like deflect. Oh, this old thing, you know what I mean? Like, this old dress, like a girl would say. All right. Anyway, so this dude on the phone says, Shawn, man, I got to talk to you. And I was like, well, what's going on? And he's like, and I called Paul and told him this right away. I'm like, it's even saying it right now gets me a little bit shaken up. He said, man, a couple weeks ago, I was in my cell and I was ready to take my life. Like, I was going to take my life. And I came across the podcast with you and Paul. And I heard Paul talking about, you can't get stuck in self-pity, and you can't just sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You got to go get it. You got to push yourself and know, like, and he was saying all this and talked about, and I decided that, dude, like, he renewed his life, like, where he was like, you know what? I've been stuck feeling sorry for myself. And I decided I'm not going to take my life, and I'm going to grind, and I'm going to go get it. And I was blown away. It took me a second to even like figure out, what do I say back to this dude? and I just wanted to encourage him, like, of how much I needed this conversation, but anyway, so I call Paul, and I'm like, "Dude, like, I gotta tell you, like, I don't even know how to explain it." Go ahead.
Well, I mean, believe me, we were both blown away. So Shawn gives me a call. I'm sitting on my Miami beach, and I do a lot of writing when I'm on the beach. And Shawn and I have been friends for a very long time. And he's one of those guys that when you see his name pop up on the phone, you answer it, right? And there's that connection, but there's also that level of respect that I have for Shawn and what he's doing. And I know all the people that he's impacting. So obviously, I answered the phone. And what really took me back is when you said, "Hey, man, I got to tell you something, and I'm going to try not to cry when I do it." And you know, I'm thinking, oh my God, something happened with your family. I mean, something catastrophic happened. Please. I mean, I'm like, your mind just starts going all over the place. Right. And then you proceeded to tell me the story about this young man who thought about taking his life. And it was our podcast
It's
that changed his mind. And wow. I mean, how do you unpack that?
I can't even figure out how to, like, say it without feeling like, you know what I mean? It's like, God, I felt like I needed that conversation because I needed sometimes I feel like I'm just wasting, like, no one's watching this. So you know what I mean? Like, why am I doing this? And sometimes I get a call like that or a letter like that, and it makes me realize, no, you gotta keep going. Like, God wants you to keep doing this.
Well,
But
it goes to what the other part of it is. All we are is sower of seeds. And you and I have talked about it in our mentorship podcast. And what
yeah,
we do here through Second Chance is you don't know who you're impacting. You don't
yeah,
know who's watching. You don't, and that is the thing in life too that I've learned through all of the things that I've been through, right? And is you never know who is watching and how you can motivate somebody and give them a nugget of just hope and inspiration through whatever you're going through. Your book, congratulations on your book. That book is allowing you to even meet and a newer audience, right? Look, you've been blessed, right? You know what I mean? God is using you. You're doing some powerful things. Look at this new studio, right? You know what I mean? This is great, right? Where
cool,
was
man.
this a couple times ago? I
And
love this, right? I'm spoiled now. I'm sitting in a nice chair. We're sitting here talking. This is great, buddy. I'm
it is.
proud of you, man.
Thank you, man. Now do you see why I have Paul come back on the show over and over again? He speaks life into everybody, and it's really a cool thing. So if you guys don't, I don't know if you don't know the backstory on me and Paul, we met a few years ago at a buddy of our house named Shane, a buddy of ours house named Shane, and we just locked in from the beginning. His energy is obviously contagious, and I love that. I love that he puts anything that he does, he goes all in on it. So it's really cool. And then obviously he had, I don't know if go back and watch the episode where you can hear all about where his success came from and how he built businesses and sold businesses and how he got to where he's at because it's super motivating and you can learn a lot from those past episodes with Paul. But that's why anytime I get the chance to bring him back, I'm like, hey, you're going to be in town. Let's go. Let's get an episode.
Yeah,
And
I'm in
then
town this weekend.
yeah, we're for the Freed. So Freed People is a nonprofit that Paul's on my board for Second Chance Mentors, but he's also on the board for Freed People. And Freed People is how would you explain it? I'd say sex trafficking advocacy group. What would you?
Well, I mean, basically what we do is we're the Freed with a D, freedpeople.org. You can look it up. We're based out of Texas. And now, which is, again, when God's moving, God is moving. And after our gala, which is tonight, we're going to work very hard, myself with some consultants and the people at Freed People to try to bring investigative teams into Miami, South Florida now. But what Freed People is they're the tip of the spear in the fight against human sex trafficking. So our goal basically is rescue and recovery, right? So rescue is really focused on the underage kids that are, some of them aren't even abducted. Some of them just choose to run away and they get stuck in that environment,
Yeah,
in that lifestyle, right? A pimp takes
yeah,
control of them and they're stuck. There's nothing they're going to do about it. So we rescue those people, those underage people, and then recovery are the people that have sort of aged out. They're no longer minors. However, they don't want to be in the streets anymore. They don't want to be in that lifestyle. So we provide them with information and a way out.
That's
is what
good.
we do.
That's cool. Yeah, the literally the hands and feet of Jesus on the streets. You know what I mean? Like, because I know some guys personally that Brian Messersmith, and he's been going out. He's actually a pilot who's been, using some of his services and planes to help pick people up and do stuff, which has been really cool. It's a new thing, and you know what? He Freed People had a lunch over at El Primo's, and I got to invite a bunch of my friends, and like half of them were like, "Man, how do we serve? How do we get on board?" You know.
Yes.
So he's been serving. He's actually going out. He goes out on the recovery teams with the guys that go out like at night into Dallas and Harry Hines and doing stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the one thing that you and I have talked about too on your podcast, because a lot of people say, okay, well, I want to help, but I don't have the time. I want to help, but I don't want to do that. But helping with nonprofits can happen in different ways. Everybody has a talent, a God-given talent, whether it's money. Money's always the easy thing because you're doing the work in Second Chance Mentors, right?
Yeah.
So it's always easy to cut a check to what Shawn's doing and let Shawn and the board members do what we got to do to help the kids. Same thing with Freed People, right? I mean, you write a check, we give it to our teams, and we're buying clothes, we're buying, I mean, supplies for people in the streets, right? Gaining their trust, building that trust. That's how you do it. You'd be surprised what a bag of chips will do to somebody that's in the street that's hungry, right? You give them a bag of chips, they're going to give you information. That it's all part of this whole building the process. I mean, money can go to the clothes. When a lot of people, these women, they get rescued, you know what they got? The clothes that they're wearing.
Yeah.
That is it. So we're going to buy them some clothes and take care of them and hook them up with partner agencies. So there's a lot of help you can do. And then, like you said, your friends, they want to go out in the street. They want to actually touch and rescue and do things.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways to help. And if you really want to do it, if you're an empath like we are, right?
Yeah.
You just get out there and you do it and you ask the question, because agencies like Second Chance, like Freed People, we're not shy. We're going to tell you exactly what we need, because we need you, because we're NGOs. We're non-government organizations that don't take government proceeds, because we want to control the outcome. That's why we
good.
do that.
That's good. And that's informative. It makes a lot of sense too. So now Paul wrote, and sometimes we'll just come on here and we'll just ramble. We could just talk, and me and Paul are good at that. We could talk all day about different things. But he had wrote last night on his Facebook page, which I know a lot of you guys don't have access to Facebook, but some of you do. So he wrote a post, and it was called "If It's Not From God, I'll Wait." And Paul's a good writer. If you have Facebook or Instagram, or it's Paul Facchina Jr. on Facebook, right?
Right.
Paul Facchina, Facchina, Paul Facchina Jr. on Facebook. And what's your Instagram?
It's Paul Facchina, but I mean, it's funny. Sorry, I'm not a tech person. Some of the things that I write don't make it to Instagram because of the fonts, and then some of the number of characters. So I'm not, if you can help me navigate this, please, because I'm a Neanderthal, right? I just picked them up and I put them down, right? I'm not a tech guy at all.
It's funny. I think you have to go the other way. I think you have to post on Instagram, and then it automatically takes it to Facebook. That's, he's showing his age with the Facebook thing. But,
dude, I'm old. Okay, I'm old.
But that's where you get your wisdom from. So anyways, the Facebook was talking about, if it's not from God, I'll wait. And I thought that was such an awesome topic to go on today, because a lot of times, we feel like everything needs to be rushed and we need it right away. We need everything right away. And then he put a verse on there, and it was Psalms 46. It said, "Be still and know that I'm God." And I thought that was so good, especially for all our listeners that are incarcerated. We feel like we need everything right now, or we feel like that we're just wasting time. Paul, can you kind of just like maybe take over with this and kind of go, what you were thinking, what brought you to this, kind of what made this seem important to you at the time?
Well, it's funny is, I moved to Miami and been through a lot of life changes, like a lot of people. And yeah, I find myself sitting on the beach almost every weekend now, right? I mean, I've found peace in solitude, and I've never been that type of person. You and I have shared that, right?
Yeah.
I've always been a herd animal. I've always wanted to be around a bunch of people, and I wanted to help people and do this and do that. And since moving to Miami, I've taken this weird, and I'm going to call it weird. It's probably not the right word to use, right? But this weird turn in my life, and I sit in silence a lot. And at first it was very, very, very uncomfortable because, you got your brains working 20, 30 different ways. But since then, I've learned how to sit in peace. And, I pray. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I pray a lot to God at that time. But what it's done, it's just opened myself up to find inspiration in the most random things. One time I wrote about a beach bicycle, the old rusted bike that I saw, right? And it brings this out. So I've gotten into this whole writing uh, experience now where I've learned to express myself with the written word, and I love it. It's different. So, but like a lot of people, I'm on social media a lot of times. I read stuff, and this, if it's not from God, I'll wait. It came across my feed, and what happens is I'll see it. If I'm busy, I'll just take a picture of it, and it'll sit in my camera roll, and then I'll go on the beach, and then it'll just hit me like a lightning bolt, right? I'm like, okay. And then I just pull out my notes and whatever's on my mind, I just let it go. The most random inspirations, things. I mean, I don't plan on it. There's no decision to do it. It hits me and I feel this need to just boom, get it out.
So when you make those posts, that's actually all you're writing, like
Yeah.
So that they almost look like ChatGPT. They're so
well,
good.
no, what I do is because my grammar is horrific, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I write the whole thing out,
Yeah.
and then I have ChatGPT correct my grammar.
That's good. Yeah, I do that
and
too.
then I post it back, take it out of ChatGPT, and then I edit it like 7 or 8 times. Because if anybody's just using ChatGPT, hey, write me this article, it's not even you. It's not even what you want to say.
Like and then it gets real techie, computerish.
Yes,
yeah.
Because you have to correct ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean, so I use it as an editing tool. That's all I do, because I'll misspell a word, and sometimes if people ever see my writing, sometimes, oh, you missed that word. That's because I'm writing it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I go through probably 10 to 15 edits of everything that I write after I get the ChatGPT to correct my spelling.
That's good, yeah.
I mean, because ChatGPT will take it where you not even want to go,
No,
right?
It'll go left.
It'll go left, right, up, down, wherever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So don't use ChatGPT to write for you. It's just a tool.
I like that, and that's the way I like to do it too. I like to write it out, then I'll put it in there to like correct it or fix my grammar or whatever. Like to use it as an editing tool is really powerful.
You're right, but if you're just posting that, you're wrong. It's just not. It's not you, right? But seriously, I go through 10 to 15 versions of this thing.
So what is going on in your life now where you've had to start thinking about this, if it's not from God, I'll wait. Like how did that hit you to where you're like, okay, this is important to me right now?
Well, I would say that since leaving Maryland to go to Texas, right? I mean, I'm pretty open about some of the things that have gone on in my life, right? I mean, and if you're out there and you think you got your plan all figured out, believe me, if it's not what God wants, it's going to change, right? And, there's some painful things that we're all going to go through, right? And I'm pretty open and vulnerable. I moved from Maryland to Texas. I had these businesses, and COVID really destroyed my business. I had to build them up, so I sold them, right? You know what I mean? Moved to Texas, met you, had my family here, and then, unfortunately, horrific divorce, right? So when I had the opportunity to leave Texas to really reestablish myself after an awful divorce, I took that opportunity, right? You know what I mean? And now the difference is here in Texas, I had we had these Bible groups, I had all this nonprofit. And then it's like I said, I took this weird turn to where I'm finding a lot of peace in my solitude. And it's really helped me mature. It's really helped my discernment. It's helped me become more creative and just more open and honest. Right?
Do you feel like you miss the community and the iron sharpens iron type?
Yes, I do. But what I think happens, and this is what, like I said, you got to do it on God's timing, right? I think that when you're not where you need to be, and men, we're egomaniacs, right? You know what I mean? We're going to stand firm in what we think is right. And sometimes there's a painful shedding that God will put us through
That's true.
to strip out our ego, to strip out our pride, and honestly, to strip us from something that was not meant for us.
That's good. So maybe God wanted you to have this time of solitude to kind of get closer to him and to kind of like learn that creative side of yourself. And maybe it was time for you to just learn how to be still and know that he is God.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
And look, I believe it, but again, in fairness, just like everybody, I push back. I push back. And see, things are a process. That's why, and that's exactly what that means, God's timing. God does not everything comes in a lightning bolt, right?
Yeah.
It's a process. And it took this process for me to really figure that out.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you ever done like let's say the flip side of be still and know that he is God or waiting on God? Have you ever forced a decision because you wanted it and you thought it wasn't from God?
Absolutely, man. I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
And look, some of it comes from hubris, right? I mean, our ego says, I know this is right, you know what I mean? And I'm going to do this. And we do it without all of the information. We do it because we think it's right. We do it maybe because there's a monetary benefit to it, right? But if it's not from God, it's not going to work. And that is the lesson from this, right? We can go ahead and shove the square peg in a round hole all we want. We can try that all day long. But if it's not from God, it's not going to stay. It's just not going to work.
What are some ways that you can tell? Like what are some ways that you can like how do you find out if something's from God or not?
Well, I mean, this is something you and I spoke about. I think that it's always easier to know what's not from God than it is to know what is from God.
Yeah, that's good.
And there's all kinds of different psychological studies on this, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think we're all given this natural ability to know what's right and wrong, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So and we teach the boys this. Remember, we always would tell them that's the reason why the word stink is an instinct, right? You can smell it, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Things like that. That you have an instinct to know, hey, that's not right. But what's odd, and as you walk with God and learn how to hear Him, is during that process to know that His voice is directing you a certain way.
That's good.
Because sometimes we're afraid to go into the room where God's gift is, where we feel more comfortable in the hallway looking in and seeing it than actually going into the room and getting the blessing He has for us.
That's really good. I look at it and everything you said, I agree 100%. I look at it also from this perspective. There's the am I waiting on God or am I supposed to be doing something that God told me to do?
Yes.
Okay. Like I feel like there's two different things there because someone could say, oh, I'm just waiting on God. But what if God told you to move, but you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. You know what I mean? So you have to really find out. And I don't have the exact answer, but there has to be a level of discernment, which I really think can come from spending time in your word, spending time in prayer, actually seeking Him. Like, this is why my wife is so awesome because she's constantly, when I have something, did you pray about that? Like, have you spent any time with God about that? Or are you just, doing all the analyzing like you do for everything and the risk factors and the stuff that that I would come up with as a human? Because sometimes it's as easy as, did I pull out my prayer journal and did I start writing, "Hey God, what do you think I should do with this? Give me a sign. Help me figure out what's the right thing to do here." And and sometimes you're not going to have like this straight up answer. Like to that question, how do you know if it's from God or not? I can't even give you like a straight perfect answer. You know what I mean?
There isn't one.
Yeah, but I think that if I'm doing the things that I need to do as far as working on my relationship with Him and I'm being in prayer, I'm in my Bible, I'm prayer journaling, I'm asking wise counsel is a good one. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Am
yes.
I asking the right people? Am I asking my friend who will think it's cool, or am I asking my friend from my men's group, my Bible study, or my pastor, or people that I know and look up to, or my mentor? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that that's a huge one for me. I think that who can I speak with that's going to have some sort of ideas about this because I really don't know the answer myself. You know?
Well, I mean, to further that point, right? I don't think God is ever going to reward laziness.
That's good.
and idleness. I mean, so if your version of waiting on God is watching Netflix, nah, I wouldn't say that that's going to work
That's
out
a
well
great.
for you.
That's so
You know
true.
what I mean? Like me, one of the biggest problems I have, and I wrote about it in that little article I wrote, is I come from a generation where you outwork a problem, that
Yeah.
you out prepare a problem, that you never quit, that you keep going, that you are stronger than whatever the problem is. And what I've learned is that that's not always the winning formula, because there's a whole nother side to this, that machismo alone will not solve the problem.
That's good.
And I think that, going back to what you said, what has Miami Beach brought me? It brought me stillness.
Yeah.
It brought me to lean into God more, but I work out. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting there watching Netflix.
That's so good. It reminds me of my time in prison, right? So for the whole 6.5 or 7 years that I was in prison, I lived every day like there's a chance I could get out next week. I tried to get as healthy as possible. I learned everything I could do. I took all these personal training certifications. Like I did everything that I could do so that if, to be ready to get out. Now, I was still waiting on God. You know what I mean? Like, because I knew he was going to reduce my sentence, and he did. Like, so I was still waiting on God, but I wasn't just sitting around waiting on God, twiddling my thumbs and not preparing. And I feel like that's kind of what you were saying before, preparation. Like, I think that there still needs to be a level of, while you're waiting, you still need to be doing all the things that you can be doing to better yourself, whether it's self-improvement, like I said, or finding a mentor, just all the different things that you can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not a passive statement.
Yeah, it's not.
See, that's where
That's
people
good.
confuse. It's not passivity.
Yeah.
It's not, I want to wait and I'm not going to do anything,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we are called to move. We are called to work. You know, I mean, and that's not specific to a man and women, everybody. You have to move. You have to move closer to God, right? We
Yeah.
have to turn to God, because one of the problems we have is we're over here, we're looking this way and we're praying this way, but God's over here. So we have to turn and make sure we're focused that way.
That's good.
And then move closer to him.
That's so good. Because if we're waiting on God, then we need to make sure that we're including God in in our decision and our wait, right? Like,
yes.
I feel like it'd be really easy to use waiting on God as an excuse for not doing anything.
Right. It's not passive.
Yeah.
Right. It's a discipline.
That's good.
I mean, waiting is action in this particular case.
Yeah, that's good. Really good, actually. Why do you think that we try to control things so much instead of like waiting on them? And I, even when I say I'm waiting, I think that I still have this, like, I need to manipulate each situation towards my advantage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's, I don't want to confuse that with the preparation. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I will, let's say I'm trying to figure out what my next move is, but the people I'm asking, I'm manipulating the question. Like, you know what I mean? Like I almost want this answer, so I'm trying to base everything based off me getting this answer. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I did a Bible study, and it was the 33 series. And one of the things they talk about in this series is control can be perceived as us, like when we're praying to God. What we're trying to do is we're changing the relationship from God from relational to contractual.
Like a genie.
Right. And what we're doing is we're saying, okay, God, I'm going to do these things. And then in return, this is the fruit that you give me for me doing that.
Good.
And one of the biggest eye-opening experiences I had with my walk is I learned that I don't get to choose the fruit.
Yeah, that's good.
I have to be obedient, and I have to continue to walk, and I have to continue to do the things even in the hardest of times, even when I'm waiting. But I don't get to choose the fruit. And you look at you go back to where you were. When you were in prison, you thought your fruit was just opening a gym.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't have been more wrong. You couldn't have been more wrong, because your fruit, look at your fruit. Look where you are right now. Because if you chose the fruit, you know what you would have done? You would have chose a tiny little raisin and he had a whole orchard for you, brother.
Yeah, especially straight coming out of prison, you would have been happy with the raisin, you know?
Yeah, that's all you wanted was the raisin.
That's good.
You don't get to choose the fruit when God's moving.
That's
And
really
and
good.
that let's touch on that. That is why it's so amazing, and that's why it's important to wait.
That's good. One thing I would say, or a couple things I would say to someone who is in a season of waiting, like, yeah, it sucks, right? Like, sometimes you feel like you see other people. Comparison can really mess up your weight, right? You're seeing people make these huge life moves and these huge jumps, and you start to get like impatient and start trying to force things. But sometimes that can cause more damage than just being patient and waiting. You know what I mean? Have you ever taken an opportunity, or have you ever been in a situation where you made a move and then were like, "Oh man, this was not the right thing"?
Oh yeah, I mean but here's the good news: is what happens is it's not you're not going to be perfect, right? We're imperfect, but the closer that you get to God, and as you hone your level of discernment, that timeline between when you make the decision and you realize it's the wrong one is shorter. That is what the relationship with God does. It shortens that period between I'm going to do this and your old crap moment, right?
Which means you probably cause less damage
You
too,
call
right?
less damage,
Yeah,
right? Because before, when you're younger, you're going to make the decision, and hubris is going to keep you on this line to holy moly, how bad? What are the consequences that I'm going to have to face now?
yeah,
And that level of discernment decreases the collateral damage in your life.
that's good. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess what I would like you guys to get out of that, anyone listen to this, is I'm going to go right back to the verse. Be still and know that he is God. Not literally be still. You know what I mean? Prepare, but just wait on it. Don't get impatient. Don't make any bad rush decisions. But just continue to know, spend time in your word, spend time in prayer, and ask him, God, what do you have next for me? Like, God, what do you see for the next thing in my life? And how can I know? I ask God all the time, God, give me a sign. Like, show me what you want me to do. You know what I mean? Like, and he will. He will. I'm telling you, you'll start to find out exactly what he has for you. I call him God winks. I see him in my life all the time.
Well, I will tell you that when I first, and again, I'm open about and this is going back to when I first bought my first Sky Zone territory, right?
Yeah.
I was a construction guy. I didn't know anything about owning a Sky Zone. I walked in one for 1 hour, and next thing you know, I wrote a check and bought a franchise. That's how silly I am, right? So you talk about how long is that line going to be between you, you make the decision, you have that old crap moment, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my goodness, I just signed on the dotted line. They own me, right? You know what I mean? So I got to perform now. But you talk about how you know God's in something. I had no idea anything about this type of business because it was a new industry anyway when I got into it,
Yeah.
right?
Like a jump houses,
the
right? Or whatever.
trampolines, ninja
Trampoline
work,
park, yeah.
and I had my own little kitchen. I did Paulie's Pizza, which was hilarious, right? And Sky Zone was mad if they're ever watching this. They're gonna be like, "Hey, that guy," because I had my own logo with me making a muscle, like saying, "You won't forget about it," right?
That's
Stuff
funny,
like that.
yeah.
I had so much fun with it. But the point I'm trying to make is when you're on the track that God wants you to, we could do 8 hours of those God winks
Yeah.
through this process where I didn't know where I was doing, but I would pray and I would tell you, I'm telling you right now, I could feel God saying, that's where you want to go. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. And you know what I did? Wasn't on the couch watching Netflix. I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I could feel him in every decision and every step of the way.
That's really good. And that's exactly how I feel about this new roofing company. Like I just keep seeing, okay, God, I'm going to keep, this company is yours. You know what I mean? Like what you want to do with this, I'm behind it. And then continue to just look for how God is speaking to me and encouraging me. And you know
Well,
what I mean?
again, look what you're doing, man. Look, roofing company, you got your studio,
Yeah,
buddy.
God
Come
is
on.
good. God is good. So look, I hope you guys got something out of that part of it. We're not done yet though. Before I forget, and I have to go this because this is super important and super special to me, I want to get back to what you have coming next, okay? What you're doing next in your life.
Okay.
But I do not want to forget this. I do have a new sponsor. Well, this is like the third episode of it. Makes me feel incredible that someone sees enough in this show to want to sponsor it. And it's Hope is Alive, hopeisalive.org. What they do, hopeisalive.net. Don't let me mess that up. Hopeisalive.net. And they are a transitional recovery house for guys that are, either coming out of prison or getting off drugs. It's a recovery, sober living, faith-based program. It's incredible. And it's not some regular one that you think of, like run by the city. I'm talking these houses are mansions. It's basically like joining a fraternity. And I
Really?
go up there on Sundays. Living Life Church is one of their big supporters, and every once in a while I'll go up there on a Sunday and I'll take a meal. On Sundays they have meetings, and different people bring meals to the guys up there. And I normally don't even want to leave. Like, it's that cool. You know what I mean? So I guess the reason I want to bring this up is anybody who's getting out anytime soon, or anybody who's struggling with addiction, look them up. hopeisalive.net. Tell them I sent you, or you can write me. You can write a letter to me here, and I will send you the application back to get you plugged up with them. I just having their sponsorship means the world to me, and I didn't want to finish this podcast without possibly mentioning how awesome that program is.
Well, I mean, let's just expand on that really quick.
Yeah.
Any nonprofit, any organization that's out there, if you don't want to be part of what Shawn is doing here, and he's broadcast to all the prisons, correct?
Yep.
You're reaching people, you're helping kids. I mean, with the Michael Jordan shoes, right? I mean, that is just so amazing, right? You know what I mean?
We
And
didn't even tell about how you got us. So
yeah, we can't say her name. Don't say her name.
okay, so
You're not allowed to say her name.
we're not allowed to say her name, but Paul made a connection with someone who's very close to Michael Jordan, who sent us some free shoes for the boys. How cool is that?
Oh my God. And and again, when God's working, the most amazing things happen. So I met this wonderful, incredible person, and she told me, she goes, Paul, don't you say my name. I'm like, okay. So I'm not saying your name because I know you're going to see the podcast.
And that's what makes it even better, in my opinion, is when you have a person with that sort of humility that doesn't want the recognition for giving back like that.
Yes.
That's
yes.
special. You know what I mean? Like, most people are, doing the whole like, oh, here, I want to give. And then, hey, look what I'm giving over here, which
yes.
I understand of wanting to feel, valued and important, like I get that feeling too. But
yeah. So she was gracefully gave a couple pairs. She's watching what Shawn's doing and Second Chance and what we're doing.
pretty cool.
And there is a good chance that at some point Michael himself will see what you're doing.
Man.
Right. So that's the goal, is to get somebody that it's his shoes. See, this is how this whole thing works.
These are God winks.
These are God winks.
Right?
Right?
Like they really are, right?
You know what I mean? But you're doing the right thing, and you're bringing so much joy to people. And look, brother, like I said, I'm proud of you. I love coming here and doing these podcasts with you, right? And just keep it up, man. And see if we can get you some more shoes.
That's cool. I'm down with that. Man, dude, thank you for doing this with me. Like, I love spending time with you like this and being up. I get like energized from this. You know what I mean? What do you have? What's next for Paul Facchina? Like, what is your next play?
Well, again, that's a good question. And to anybody that's out there that finds himself in these transitions, right? You know what I mean? And I'm very open and honest. I've been through some things, right? That's just part of it. But, I don't just preach things. I put them to actions myself. So anything anybody ever hears me say, believe me, I put it to practice, right? And I'm in Miami, and as again, God's divine appointment has it, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and set up my another new consulting company in Miami in the ultra luxury residential space as a owner's rep.
Which is cool, because you've been being, brought onto these like builders, contractors podcasts and being included in these panels that they're having. So you're kind of already setting yourself up for it.
Right. And that's God, right? I mean, so I'm in Miami for a year, and I've got this smaller role with this consulting company just to try to feel the lay of the land. And next thing you know, I meet a supplier that's got a podcast. So I do a whole podcast on owners reps work and what that means in the Miami market, especially in the ultra luxury space. And then I flew down here yesterday, and Wednesday I was on a panel with a wonderful group of people in Miami, right? Talking about the luxury market and construction. So it's just, when God's moving, things start happening. That's all I can tell you.
Do you have an email address that you'd be willing to put out there if someone wanted to write you?
Yes. I mean, it's my personal email address. It's Paul Facchina Jr. So it's Paul, like Frank, ACCHIN like Nancy, AJR at outlook.com.
Man, so they can add you to, so you'll probably get some requests, which would be really cool. It's kind of cool to correspond with people that, that need some encouragement and love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's the other thing is, and you talking about waiting on God. One of the things, like my impatience. Remember, I created that faith-based financial literacy course,
Yeah.
the Get Up and Go Get It financial
Yeah.
seminar, and it's sitting dormant. And I feel like, why is that sitting? I should be in front of, just like we
Yeah.
presented it to your kids, right? And how many of them got benefit from it? So
Awesome. Yeah.
I would love to be in Florida and present that to the youth and
That's
do
a
things.
cool thing. We need to push that.
Yeah,
I
but
forgot.
I'm waiting on God.
Yeah, that's good.
See what I'm saying?
He'll present the correct time and opportunity.
Absolutely.
That's so good, man. I love you, bro.
Look, I love you too, and man, it's good to be back in Texas. It's too
cool,
bad
right?
it's raining. You know, what I mean, Miami Beach is sunny and sandy.
Tomorrow
bro.
will be nice. Tomorrow will be nice. Hey, anybody watching? You guys remember, you're loved, you're forgiven, and there's nothing you can do about it. Next week on May 15th, grab my book. And remember, hopeisalive.net. If you're getting out, you need a place to go, or you know someone who's struggling with addiction and needs a place to get clean, it's faith-based and God is involved.
And
I love you guys.
Freed people. Don't forget about freed
The
people.
Free People Gala is going to be incredible tonight. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
it's going to be fantastic.
Cool. Man, we love you guys.
Thank you.